Please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share your insights in the comments, and subscribe to keep up with our newest narratives. I had lived alone for 10 years, until a man showed up with a planter and a storm, and from that moment on, nothing was ever the same. On a Tuesday morning, the atmosphere was draped in gray skies and a gentle drizzle, evoking a longing to remain nestled in bed, cradling a warm cup of tea alongside a captivating book. At the age of 53, I found myself residing in a quaint little house on Maplewood Lane, a street where familiarity reigned among the neighbors, yet true connection remained elusive, if that makes sense. We offered friendly waves, shared polite words, and now and then borrowed a cup of sugar, but that was the extent of our interactions. Life unfolded in a steady rhythm, wrapped in comfort, yet, if I dare to admit, tinged with a hint of solitude. That morning, I found myself at my kitchen table, gazing out at the rain-drenched garden beyond the window. The hydrangeas were in full bloom, their blue petals weighed down by droplets of water, while the oak tree in the backyard danced softly in the breeze. Engrossed in contemplation, I cradled my chamomile tea, when a sudden knock at the door interrupted my reverie. I found myself taken aback by the unexpected arrival of someone. My son Lucas was engrossed in his own pursuits in the city, while my friends were all occupied with their families or careers. After a brief pause, I placed my cup aside and made my way to the door. To my astonishment, I found Mr. Thompson, my neighbor, standing at the door when I opened it. He stood tall, a man in his late 60s, adorned with silver hair and eyes that radiated kindness. He lived just 2 doors down, and we had exchanged a few words here and there over the years, but nothing beyond that. In his hands he cradled a small wrapped package, his demeanor tinged with an unusual nervousness. "Good morning, Clara," he said, his voice imbued with warmth yet tinged with uncertainty. "I trust I'm not intruding upon your time." "Not in the slightest," I responded, a smile gracing my lips. "How may I assist you today, Mr. Thompson?" "Please call me Theodore," he said, a smile returning to his face. "I couldn't help but observe that you've been spending quite a bit of time in your garden recently. Your talent for nurturing plants is truly impressive." A soft laugh escaped my lips. "Indeed, it occupies my time quite effectively. It brings me a sense of tranquility." With a nod, he extended the package forward. "During my visit to the farmer's market this past weekend, you crossed my mind. It's a small gesture, merely a token to add a touch of light to your day." I found myself utterly astonished. It had been years since anyone had bestowed upon me a gift of such significance. As I grasped the package, I could sense its weight resting in my palms. "My gratitude, Theodore. Your kindness is truly appreciated." He shuffled his feet, an air of shyness enveloping him. "Very well. I shall allow you to return to your morning activities. Wishing you a wonderful day, Clara." I echoed the sentiment, my gaze following him as he turned and made his way back down the path to the sidewalk. I gently shut the door behind me and carefully peeled away the layers of the package. Within lay a stunning ceramic planter adorned with intricate flowers and winding vines. It was precisely the sort of thing I would have chosen for myself. I glided my fingers across the sleek surface, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within me. Gratitude, curiosity, and an elusive feeling that danced just out of reach. As the afternoon waned, I resolved to nestle a delicate fern into the planter and set it upon my porch. While I toiled away, my gaze drifted down the street, drawn to Theodore's house. I came to the understanding that my knowledge of him was rather limited. All I truly knew was that he was a widower and had resided on Maplewood Lane for just as long as I had. The following day, I prepared a batch of oatmeal cookies using my grandmother's cherished recipe and strolled down to Theodore's house. Upon opening the door, his expression revealed a blend of surprise and delight. "Text. I wish to express my gratitude for the planter," I remarked, extending the plate of cookies. The gift was truly a reflection of deep consideration. He smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling with warmth. "Your gesture was unnecessary, yet I am truly grateful for it. Would you care to join me for a cup of coffee?" After a brief pause, I gave a nod of agreement. I would appreciate that. The house exuded warmth and charm, its walls adorned with bookshelves and a cozy fireplace gracing the living room. We gathered around his kitchen table, cups of coffee in hand, engaging in a delightful conversation that meandered through topics of gardening, travel, and our cherished books. To my astonishment, conversing with him came effortlessly, and I found myself at ease in his company. As I strolled home that evening, it struck me just how deeply I had longed for this kind of connection. It was more than merely the present or the treats. It was how Theodore had paused to truly observe me, to recognize me as more than merely the woman residing 2 doors away. That evening, as I reclined in bed, I reflected on the unforeseen generosity of my neighbor, and how it had moved me in a manner I had not anticipated. Though it was a modest act, it had unlocked a gateway to an unfamiliar realm, revealing a void I hadn't known existed. The days that came after Theodore's surprising gift carried an air of change, as if the world had subtly transformed, unveiling hues I had previously overlooked. The rain subsided and the sun emerged, bathing Maplewood Lane in a warm golden light. The garden appeared to awaken to the transformation, with flowers radiating more vibrantly and leaves taking on a deeper shade of green. Perhaps it was merely my perception, viewing everything through a fresh perspective. Theodore occupied my thoughts with increasing frequency. Our chat over coffee flowed effortlessly, a seamless exchange of thoughts and ideas. It transcended merely the subjects we explored. It was in the manner of his listening, a deep engagement that made each word I uttered feel significant. It wasn't until that moment when it stood before me that I truly understood the depth of my longing for such a connection. A few days later, I found myself in the garden, tending to the roses, when the sound of footsteps on the sidewalk caught my attention. As I lifted my gaze, I spotted Theodore approaching, his hands tucked into his pockets and a smile gracing his lips. "Good morning, Clara," he said, pausing at the boundary of my yard. "The beauty of those roses is truly breathtaking. Your talent is truly remarkable." I brushed my hands against my apron, a smile spreading across my face in response. "Thank you, Theodore. They are the essence of my happiness. Would you care to step inside for a more intimate examination?" He nodded as I guided him through the gate, highlighting the various hues, the deep reds, the gentle pinks, the creamy whites. He absorbed every word, posing inquiries and marveling at the blossoms. After a pause, he remarked, "I've always dreamed of cultivating a garden like this, yet I've never possessed the patience for it." Her dedication was truly admirable. "It's easier than it appears," I responded. "All it requires is patience and a touch of affection." He let out a soft laugh. "Perhaps you could impart some wisdom to me." After a brief pause, I replied, "I would be delighted to. How about you swing by tomorrow morning so we can kick things off?" His eyes sparkled with excitement. "I would appreciate that. Thank you, Clara." The following morning, Theodore made his entrance precisely on schedule, clad in a worn pair of jeans and a cozy flannel shirt. I presented him with a pair of gardening gloves and guided him through the process of preparing the soil for planting. We toiled together, sharing conversations and laughter as we unearthed, sowed, and nurtured the soil. To my surprise, it was quite enjoyable, and I discovered that I relished his company far more than I had anticipated. As the days morphed into weeks, our gardening sessions evolved into a cherished routine. In the early hours, we would gather, occasionally at my place, other times at his, and tackle whatever tasks awaited us. It transcended mere flora. The essence lay in our dialogues, the moments we shared, and the deepening bond that blossomed between us. One afternoon, after we had completed the task of planting a row of tulips in his backyard, Theodore proposed that we take a break and settle down on the porch. He retrieved a pitcher of iced tea, and we settled into the shade, savoring our drinks while observing the birds darting about the yard. "You know," he remarked after a pause, "I've resided on this street for more than 2 decades, and I've never truly acquainted myself with my neighbors. It seems I've always walked the path of solitude." I nodded, fully grasping the essence of his words. "I understand your perspective. One can easily become ensnared in their own personal realm, overlooking the presence of those who reside just next door." He regarded me with a contemplative expression. "It brings me joy that you have settled in, Clara. This space has been transformed back into a sanctuary of comfort." His words resonated within me, and I could feel a tightness in my throat. My sincere gratitude, Theodore. That holds significant value. We lingered in silence for a time, the sort of tranquil quiet that requires no words to bridge the space between us. The sun caressed my face with its warmth, the breeze whispered softly around me, and in that moment, I experienced a profound sense of tranquility that had eluded me for far too long. As the weeks unfolded, Theodore and I found ourselves drawing nearer to one another. We began to exchange more than mere gardening advice. We exchanged narratives about our existence, our kin, our aspirations. I discovered that he had once been a teacher before his retirement, that he had a passion for jazz music, and that he held a fondness for classic films. He shared with me the memories of his beloved late wife, Beatrice, and the profound sense of longing he felt for her. As we lingered on the porch, the sun dipping below the horizon, he confessed, "She was the love of my life." Never did I imagine I would encounter someone capable of evoking such feelings within me once more. I gazed at him, my heart heavy with the sorrow woven into his words. "I comprehend. Losing someone you cherish is an incredibly difficult experience." He nodded, his gaze far away. "Yet I believe she would find joy in witnessing me in this light, sharing moments with someone who brings a smile to my face." His words lingered in my mind long after he had departed that evening. I reclined in bed, gazing at the ceiling, lost in thoughts of Theodore and the surprising bond we had forged. It was an unforeseen turn of events, yet it evolved into a significant aspect of my existence. As I surrendered to the embrace of slumber, a curious thought lingered in my mind. Where would this journey lead us next? Life certainly has its methods of putting us to the test, wouldn't you agree? Just when you believe you've established your balance, an unexpected force arrives to disrupt the calm. For Theodore and me, it was a tempest, a formidable one. The calendar had turned to late September, yet the air remained uncharacteristically warm for this season. The trees began to don their autumn attire, transforming the neighborhood into a canvas of golden and crimson hues. Theodore and I found ourselves increasingly entwined in each other's lives, engaging not only in gardening but also in the simple pleasures of shared meals, movie nights, and occasional excursions to charming nearby towns. It seemed as though we were crafting something extraordinary, something genuine. Yet the tempest arrived. It began with a faint growl of thunder, a shadowy band of clouds creeping along the skyline. As dusk settled in, the wind began to howl, and the rain poured relentlessly, drenching everything in its path. As I gazed out from my living room window, the trees danced in the wind while the rain relentlessly hammered against the glass. The power flickered, a brief dance of light, before it succumbed to the inevitable, casting the house into an enveloping darkness. I searched for a flashlight, finally finding it, and lit a few candles, attempting to create a semblance of comfort in the darkness. Yet, as the tempest howled outside, an unsettling sensation took root deep within my chest. At that moment, I became aware of it. A resounding crash echoed, succeeded by the sharp sound of wood splintering. My heart soared into my throat. I snatched my raincoat and flashlight, dashing into the tempest, the wind tousling my hair and the rain drenching my clothes within moments. I traced the sound to Theodore's abode, where the origin of the clamor revealed itself to me. A colossal oak tree in his backyard had been struck by lightning, toppling and crashing through a section of his roof. My stomach plummeted. "Theodore," I called out, hurrying to his front door. I struck it with fervor, my heart pounding in my chest. "Theodore, are you all right?" The door creaked open, revealing him, shaken yet unscathed. "Clara," he said, his voice strained with concern. "I'm doing well, but the tree has crashed through the roof." As I entered, I illuminated the space with the beam of my flashlight, casting shadows that danced along the walls. The extent of the damage exceeded my expectations. The tree had burst through the corner of the living room, scattering debris in every direction. The rain cascaded through the gaping hole in the roof, drenching the carpet and saturating the furniture. "We have to get you out of here," I urged, clutching his arm tightly. "Safety is compromised." He paused, surveying the chaos that surrounded him. "Yet my home." "Your home can be repaired," I interjected. "However, you cannot remain here this evening. Come on, you're joining me at my place." He remained silent. I assisted him in collecting a handful of necessities, a few garments, his medications, a cherished photograph of Beatrice, and together we rushed back to my home, navigating the relentless downpour. As we crossed the threshold, I offered him a towel along with a fresh set of clothes, dry and inviting. "Change your clothes," I instructed. "I shall prepare a cup of tea." When he finally returned downstairs, I had a pot of chamomile tea brewing on the stove and a warm fire dancing in the fireplace. He sank into the couch, a picture of exhaustion and overwhelm. "Thank you, Clara," he murmured softly. "Your arrival has been nothing short of a lifeline. I shudder to think of the path I might have wandered without you." I offered him a steaming mug of tea and settled into the seat beside him. No need for gratitude. That is the essence of friendship. We lingered in quietude for a time, attuned to the tempest raging beyond and the gentle crackle of the flames within. The power remained elusive, yet the candles illuminated the space with a gentle, dancing glow, imbuing the room with a sense of warmth and comfort amidst the turmoil beyond the walls. "You know," Theodore said after a pause, "this brings to mind a night I shared with Beatrice during the hurricane. In our youth, freshly united in marriage, we found ourselves with little to our names. Yet, in our shared existence we found solace, and that sufficed." A smile crept across my face, accompanied by a tightening sensation in my throat. "She appears to be an extraordinary woman." "She was," he murmured, his voice gentle. He brought her to mind in countless ways. His words took me by surprise, and I could feel a warmth rising to my cheeks. "Theodore." He extended his hand towards mine, his touch enveloping me in warmth and assurance. "Clara, I understand this may not be the most opportune moment, yet I feel compelled to express it. The time we've shared over these past few months has held a significance that transcends mere words. Your presence has rekindled the brightness in my existence, and I am determined to hold on to it." As I gazed into his eyes, I perceived the depth of sincerity and the raw vulnerability that resided within them. My heart raced, yet for the first time in ages, it was not driven by fear or doubt. It stemmed from hope. "Theodore," I murmured gently, "you have illuminated my life as well. It wasn't until you arrived that I understood the depth of my need for someone like you." He smiled, a gentle, inviting smile that filled my heart with warmth. "Perhaps we can unravel this mystery side by side." I nodded, a tranquil calm enveloping me. In unison. Outside, the storm howled with fury, yet within these walls, a warmth reminiscent of sunlight enveloped the space. We lingered in that moment, our hands met in quiet closeness, sharing soft reflections into the night that stretched into the night, until the rain ceased its dance and the soft glow of dawn began to filter through the windows. The morning following the tempest arrived with clarity and brilliance, a day that inspires faith in new beginnings. The scent of moist soil and decaying foliage filled the air, while the sunlight pouring through my windows seemed to whisper of hope. Theodore and I lingered at the kitchen table, savoring our coffee and spreading jam on warm toast, the memories of the night before vivid and alive in our thoughts. "I ought to reach out to the insurance company," Theodore remarked, shattering the serene stillness that enveloped them. "Perhaps it would be wise to have a contractor assess the damage." I inclined my head, extending my hand across the table to grasp his gently. "We shall find a way. Progress unfolds gradually." He smiled, his eyes glowing with appreciation. "Your presence in my life is irreplaceable, Clara." "There's no need to discover that," I responded, returning the smile. In the days that followed, we joined forces to restore Theodore's house to its former state. An insurance adjuster arrived to evaluate the damage, while a contractor commenced the repairs on the roof. The effort was considerable, yet there was a satisfying sense of accomplishment in engaging in something concrete, something that deepened our bond even further. As the day drew to a close, following hours spent clearing away remnants of chaos and sifting through the remnants of what once was, Theodore and I found ourselves on my porch, gazing at the sunset that painted the sky above Maplewood Lane. The sky erupted in a symphony of colors, with pinks, oranges, and purples intertwining in a breathtaking display. "Text, do you recall what Theodore remarked, shattering the stillness? Your words from the other night have been on my mind, particularly the idea of navigating this journey together." I glanced at him, my heart racing as he inhaled deeply, his face a blend of seriousness and hope. I refuse to squander any more time, Clara. Life is fleeting, and I have already devoted too much of it to solitude. I long to be by your side, should you desire my company. Tears gathered in my eyes and I quickly blinked them back, determined not to let a single moment slip away from me. Theodore, I share your sentiments. For what feels like an eternity, I have walked this path in solitude, unaware of the depth of my longing for companionship until your presence illuminated my world. He extended his hand toward mine, his grasp enveloping me with warmth and assurance. Let us proceed with this endeavor. Let us create a life side by side in whatever form it may take. I nodded, enveloped by a profound sense of peace and happiness that had eluded me for years. In unison, the ensuing weeks unfolded as a tempest of feelings and choices. Theodore's house had been mended, yet he found himself increasingly at my place, to the point where it seemed as though we were already sharing a life together. We engaged in a conversation about what lies ahead, envisioning the intertwining of our lives, exploring distant lands, and the prospect of aging side by side. It was a thrilling blend of fear and beauty, an experience that encompassed all emotions simultaneously. On a brisk October morning, we chose to stroll through the neighborhood, savoring the vibrant autumn hues and the invigorating fresh air. As we walked side by side, a profound sense of fulfillment washed over me, as if I had at last discovered where I truly belonged in this vast world. You know, Theodore remarked as we strolled by a striking maple tree, its leaves ablaze in shades of red. I believe Beatrice would have found you quite likable. My gaze fell upon him, a wave of astonishment washing over me. Is that so? He inclined his head, his gaze tender with reminiscence. She often remarked that I required a companion who could challenge me, someone possessing both a gentle heart and an unwavering spirit. Indeed, that is you, Clara. Tears welled up in my eyes once more, yet this time I made no effort to brush them aside. My gratitude, Theodore. Your understanding holds a significance that surpasses what words can convey. He halted his steps and pivoted to meet my gaze, enveloping my hands within his own. Clara, while we may not be in our youth, I believe there are countless wonderful years still to come, and I wish to share each and every one with you. I smiled amidst my tears, experiencing a joy so deep it bordered on pain. I desire that as well, Theodore, more than anything else in the world. He leaned in, his presence wrapping me in a quiet promise of something lasting, a soft, delicate kiss that resonated with the weight of a promise. In that instant, enveloped by the splendor of the season and the embrace of his affection, I realized this was merely the dawn of something exquisite. As we strolled onward, the sun casting its warm glow upon us and the leaves crackling underfoot, a profound sense of gratitude washed over me for Theodore, for the life we were crafting side by side, and for the unforeseen kindness that had led us to this very moment. Life presented us with unexpected challenges, yet we navigated through the turmoil and emerged more resilient than before. As I gazed into the horizon of what was to come, I felt a deep certainty that no matter the obstacles that awaited us, we would confront them side by side. For it is often in the moments of surprise that the most exquisite treasures of life reveal themselves.